Hey everyone, today we are going to be converting decimals to fractions and percents. So we're going to focus on starting with the decimal and then converting to a fraction and converting to a percent. In our first example, we're going to be converting from a decimal to a fraction. So we are going to use the decimal place value in order to write our fraction, and over here I have given the place values that we're going to use. So we're going to focus on, here's our decimal. If the value is in the tenths place, you're going to write it with a denominator of 10. If the value ends in the hundredths place, we're going to write it out of 100. If it is in the thousandths place, we are going to write it out of 1000. And then if it is in the 10,000ths place, we are going to write it out of 10,000. So your first step is to figure out which denominator you're using. So you're always going to use one of those four denominators. And I've got an example of each of them. Once you figure out which denominator you're using, you're going to ask yourself, is the fraction simplified? If it is, that's your answer. If it's not, we're going to simplify. So for the first example here, 0.6, the first step is to figure out, am I doing it out of 10, 100, 1000, or 10,000? Well, this is in the tenths place, so I'm going to write this as 6 out of 10. In the tenths place, so I wrote it out of 10. Now, 6 out of 10 is not completely simplified. 6 and 10 have a 2 in common. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So our final answer is going to be 3 over 5. So this is where we started. We divided by 1, so 2 over 2, and we ended with 3 over 5. This is going to be your final answer. Okay, that simplified fraction. In the next example, we have 33. This is the hundredths place. So this was the tenths. So 33 over 100. Then I'm going to say, is 33 over 100 completely simplified? Do 33 and 100 have anything in common? So if I just check really quick, 33 and 100, 1 times 33, 33 doesn't work, 3 times 11, 11 doesn't work, 3 doesn't work, 1 works. So 33 over 100 is my final answer. So I'm starting here, and I'm ending in the same place because they have no greatest common factor. And again, this simplified, quote unquote simplified in this example, fraction is going to be our final answer. For 0.002, this is the thousandths place. So this is going to be 2 over 1000. Both of these numbers are even, and 2 goes into all even numbers. So I'm starting with this one, and then I'm going to simplify. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1000 divided by 2 is 500. And then again, the simplified fraction is our final answer. Last one. This one ends in the 10,000ths place. So I'm going to write 13 out of 10,000. And when I look at 13 and 10,000, they have nothing in common. So this fraction is going to stay the same. So I started with 13 over 10,000 and I ended with 13 over 10,000 because they have nothing in common, and this would be my final answer. Okay, so this is the level of work that I am expecting to see. I'm expecting to see a fraction over the correct place value, and then if there is anything to simplify by, you are showing that simplification and then your final answer. This is converting a decimal to a fraction, and then simplifying that fraction. Our next example, we're going to be converting from a decimal to a percent. In order to convert from a decimal to a percent, we're going to move the decimal two place values to the right. This is the same as multiplying by 100. We are going to show it using little jumps with the decimal. So as you can see, I can see where my decimal is starting. So let me change the color of my pen here really quick so it's a little bit brighter. So here's my decimal right here. And I am going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So 1, 2. And I'm going to put a little arrow. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see my arrow. So this is going to be 45.8. So to go from a decimal to a percent, this is step 1. And then I'm going to write that with a percent sign. So 45.8%. Okay. My next one over here is 0.87. So I've got 0.87. I'm going to take my decimal, move it 2 places to the right. So you guys can see that I'm moving it to the right. This is going to be 87%. For 0.3, I'm going to move my decimal. So here's my decimal, 2 places to the right. When you move your decimal 2 places to the right, there's this empty space. We're going to fill that empty space with a 0. So in step 2, I'm going to write this as 30%. In my last example, 0.3397, here's my decimal. I'm going to move it 2 places to the right. And I get 33.97%. Okay, so to convert a decimal to a percent, we're going to move the decimal value 2 places to the right. So move the decimal 2 places to the right. This is the same as multiplying by 100. So if I went in the calculator and did 0.458 times 100, I would get 45.8. If I did 0.87 times 100, I would get 87. Okay? And then we're going to write our new number with a percent sign. Decimals and percents are different. So moving that decimal is important, and including the percent sign is extremely important. Okay? Your homework is to practice converting decimals to fractions and decimals to percents. Good luck.